Florida landlord requiring proof of vaccinations from tenants. He said, if you don't want to get the vaccine, then you have to move. You're not even allowed to live anywhere. And with these big investment firms buying up houses, the economy literally crumbling before our eyes, and the fact that you will own nothing and you will be happy. Says to me that the only outcome here is going to be some kind of civil war or complete dissolution of the union. I don't. Maybe that's a bit extreme to say based off this story. But where do we go from here? I mean, in Florida, so, Ron DeSantis, he banned these vaccine mandates, but there's legal challenges happening and some places are getting exemptions. I don't know if a Florida landlord has the right to bar people from living there, but maybe. And this is where we'll go. The ideological division in this country will never be mended. It is not possible. We quite literally have a faction of people willing to do or say anything, no matter how stupid it is. No matter how stupid. Meanwhile, they're saying, you're the dumb one. Let me just explain something to you. If you're a critical thinker, if you challenge preconceptions, if you question official narratives, you are probably less likely to be the dumb one. But in all fairness, there are a lot of people who question literally everything who are pretty dumb. But I'll put it this way. Blindly marching behind anything is stupid. And right now, you have 80 plus million voters blindly marching behind a dude who couldn't even campaign properly because he kept calling lid, Joe Biden, who's clearly not with it. Then you do have your right-wing zealots, your pro-Trump, conspiracy types and whatever other conspiracies they believe. Yeah, they exist, but they're not that many and they don't have any institutional power. So I'm not really concerned about them. I am concerned about lunatics who want government mandates, who are celebrating having the boot crush their necks. Now, it's funny. During the Black Lives Matter riots, when they were smashing up small businesses and then accusing you of being authoritarian, I'm like, yo, you're attacking regular people. I'm not a fan of the police. I've told stories about the cops screwing with me all the time. Individual officers, different story. I think, legitimately a police force is a good thing with all of the problems that come with it. It's a net good. At this point, the current iteration, not so much. But you can be someone who says, hey, please don't smash the window of that small business. That's not licking the boot. That's saying, stop setting fire to small businesses. What is the left doing? Well, setting fire to small businesses, defending massive multinational corporations, cheering for rule by decree, and celebrating big pharma. These people are stupid. And, I say that because I don't think there's a mending of the ideological divide. I don't think there's a point. You think that I'm going to say something and someone's going to watch this video? Look, anybody who's that dumb is not going to walk out and all of a sudden, just have a flip of their opinion or whatever. Maybe over time, getting exposed to information that counters the narrative, fact-checking and realizing what's true and what's false could change people's minds. But those people aren't the dumb ones I'm talking about. People who are misinformed are different from those who are just downright stupid. I don't know how you solve the problem, but I will say, when you have people locked into the mainstream media and too stupid to look for any information or even fact check while going online and claiming they did research. Oh, geez. There's a viral meme going around where they're like, research is not reading articles on the internet. Research is doing a peer-reviewed study where you have control groups, double blind. No, it isn't. That's scientific research. It's academic research. Yes, I accept that. But the idea that you wouldn't read those papers online, that's what they're advocating for. Just blindly trust the people who claim to have done the research. I've not read their paper. I don't know what the paper says, but they actually did a scientific study. Yes, and if you do your own research, you might come to realize there's a lot of conflicting information out there, and it's hard to know what's true and what isn't. Hey, but that's critical thinking. Check out this story. This to me is the story, is the end of days. A Florida landlord will require all new and existing tenants to show proof of vaccination to reside in his buildings. As of August 15th, Santiago Alvarez, who owns 8 apartment buildings in Broward and Miami-Dade, will mandate that tenants prove they have received at least an initial COVID-19 vaccination before renewing their lease. You don't want to get vaccinated, you have to move, 80-year-old Alvarez told the Washington Post. And if you don't move, one must move forward with eviction. I don't know if that's going to be grounds for eviction, though, to be honest. He can try. Alvarez has said he would make exceptions for people who choose not to get vaccinated for religious and medical reasons. I can respect that. He also said he would allow more time for long-term tenants to get their first dose of the vaccine, according to the Post. Now, there's a legitimate question here. This dude owns the property. It's his property. Like, shouldn't he be able to kick out whoever he wants? He's providing religious and medical exemptions. Perhaps he has that right. Now, I'm not a fan of it, and perhaps it's a private property argument, but where do you think we go when massive multinational corporations and investment firms start doing the same thing? If this wins in the courts, if people try and challenge this and they lose, how long until your landlord comes to you and says, time to get the jab, son? The news comes from Florida after President Biden announced a new rule through the Department of Labor, Occupational Safety and Health Administration that would require businesses with 100 employees or more to require vaccines or frequent testing. At least one tenant, 28-year-old Jasmine Irby, has filed a complaint with the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. Irby argued that she should be able to renew her lease without having to disclose my personal health information, the Post reported. Irby's attorney also wrote to Alvarez saying that his policy was in violation of Governor DeSantis' executive order prohibiting businesses from making policies that require vaccination as a condition of entering. However, the landlord believes his policy is not in violation of the governor's order, as that order is intended for customers or patrons, not for tenants. The law is very clear. He cannot require vaccine passports as a condition of entry. Each violation of the law will result in a $5,000 fine. DeSantis' press secretary, Christina Pushaw, said in an email to The Hill. Pushaw added that COVID-19 transmission still occur among vaccinated people. The idea of requiring vaccine passports is unscientific and will not achieve lower cases. Without mandates, cases are dropping rapidly in Florida on their own. According to weekly COVID-19 data from the Florida Department of Health, 69% of Floridians are vaccinated, and the state saw a 13.5% case positivity rate last week. The Hill has reached out to Alvarez's lawyer for comment. Now, I do want to mention something I find interesting. Ron DeSantis has issued an executive order. You cannot require vaccine mandates for your business. And I wonder about Joe Biden's vaccine mandate requiring businesses mandate the vaccine. Some may argue, look, both of these certainly should go through legislation, correct? Yeah, they should. But I will say this. And I'm saying this unprompted, not because anyone's, criticized me, but I think this is something conservatives especially need to hear. If a private business wants to mandate vaccines, should they be allowed to do it? My opinion is no. You know why? Because I think it's discrimination on the basis of medical disability. This is a medical treatment some people can't get. The left tries to claim, well, everybody can get it. It's just not true. This is just not true. So my live producer, Lydia, for Timcast IRL, was instructed by her doctor not to get the vaccine due to multiple sclerosis. Many people on Twitter said, I know people who have MS who got it. It's like, dude, that's their doctor. I'm not questioning their doctor. I don't know how severe their condition is. I don't know how old they are. Some people may be more immunocompromised than others. A business saying that we want proof of your medical history is discriminatory because it forces people with disabilities to present their papers to an establishment. And if we're saying non-discrimination, they should not be allowed to do it. Thus, existing legislation prohibiting discrimination on the basis of medical disability or religion should be upheld. And that means you cannot require people to present information as to why their religion says such. If someone goes into a business and they say you can't wear that specific thing, and they say it's my religious, garment, the business should not be allowed to be like, prove your religion. No. Okay. People have very specific and very, different religious beliefs, and they should be allowed to practice, especially something like medical issues, their bodily autonomy. Now, as for Joe Biden to mandate people there's two things here. Biden is mandating that businesses take a specific action against their employees. and face a fine. Now, I don't know if Ron DeSantis has issued a penalty for these violations, but I don't think he has to, because it's already a violation to discriminate. So if he comes out and says, the law says you can't discriminate, therefore we are putting in place an executive order saying, in order to abide by existing law, you can't do this. That being said, I do think this should go through the courts and through legislation. We already have laws saying you can't discriminate. I believe at this point, what should happen is if a business chooses to, have the vaccine mandates, then you go to them and say, if you force me to present medical information about my disability that no one else has to present publicly, that's discrimination on the basis of a disability. They shouldn't be allowed to say, prove it. In which case, you should be allowed to go in and say, it's none of your business. I have a medical issue. Okay, welcome to the store, sir. I'm not a fan of rule by decree, be it DeSantis or Biden, but I do think that there is a difference in this capacity. You ready for the next big story, my friends? I hope you are ready for the wild ride we're about to go on. LA County to require proof of vaccination for indoor bars, nightclubs, and breweries. Here it comes. The blue states will mandate, the red states will not. We're putting on an event. Tentative date is October 23rd. RSVP for tickets to the event will be open to all Timcast.com members who are at least $25 members or more. The event will be free. And for now, the plan is open bar. I don't know if we'll be able to pull off a free event with open bar, but I'm hoping that'll be the case. So it's going to be in West Virginia, and people who travel out here are going to have to cover the cost. So, we don't want people to spend money to come, and it's a promotional thing. It's a marketing thing. So we're not trying to make money off doing these events. We're trying to do these events to build culture, to keep community going. And the plan is for October 23rd. So the way we're going to do it is members at timcast.com who are giving at least $25, because our membership tier thing is like you can give as much as you want. It's a pay what you will sort of with a minimum of $10. $25 members will get 24 hours advanced RSVP notice. We believe there's possibly going to be over 300 available slots, and people can still show up to the area anyway. But the venue, I think, has between like 250 to 400. I'm not sure the actual capacity. And plus, I don't even know if we'll be able to fill it to the brim, because we're going to need space we're going to have comedians perform, comedians you know and love, and we're going to have some music. So after that 24-hour period, it will open up to all members to RSVP. Again, free tickets. And then if we don't, the next day, assuming we didn't sell out, I think we will completely sell out from all our $25 members. And I say sell out as in like fill up and run out of tickets. They're going to be free. That's my plan. Then it'll open up to everyone else to submit for an RSVP. And then the idea is, those, if you get a ticket, you get a ticket. If you don't, you can't get in. But so ultimately, I'll put it this way. If you remember the event, you're not charged to come to the event. And that's kind of the idea. And then even if, and then we want to make sure it's available to everyone else as well. So here's the point. We're putting on this event, and we're doing it in West Virginia where there's no restrictions. You can show up. We encourage people to be safe, to wash your hands. Don't cough on people. If you're sick, please stay home. Things like that. But we're going to follow the guidelines of the West Virginia government, which is you come and you hang out. You don't got to worry about it. That's on you. Your health decisions are on you. Some people might not be happy with the event, and I will tell you this. At the event, we will absolutely be taking COVID precautions. No joke. Hand sanitizer. If you want to wear a mask, you can wear a mask. No one is going to criticize you for doing so. And honestly, if my personal opinion is, maybe some people should wear masks. That's about it. I'll be taking precautions, but it's an event that's open and free to you to choose what makes sense for you. And if you're upset and worried about getting sick, you should not come. Now, here's the difference. We can put on this event in West Virginia without worrying about it, because West Virginia says, do your thing. Texas, Florida, they say, do your thing. Los Angeles, California, New York, Chicago, nope. So I got family in Illinois. And I got people hit me up being like, it's miserable here. It's like you're suppressed, you're oppressed. And it's really funny hearing from my friends in Chicago where they're like, I can't go out to eat. I can't go out and do much. Like you need to get vaccinated from a lot of places. It's crazy. And I'm like, out here, I just walk in with a smile on my face and order some wings. And the guy with the smile on his face hands me the wings. It's great. The funny thing is, Florida and Texas went back to normal before West Virginia, of all places, because West Virginia still had a mask mandate until like June, I think. They don't have anything now. So we've got local venues. You walk in, nobody says anything. And I'll be honest, it's West Virginia. Nobody said anything to begin with. There are a lot of people out here that are scared. You know, if I go over to like Charlestown, it's a city. It's not super big or anything, but you'll see a lot of people wearing masks. I don't care. I go to the farmer's market. Some people are wearing masks. Some people are not. They had a sign up during the mask mandate where it said, please wear a mask. And many people didn't. Nobody did anything about it. There was one lady who had two tables she had it was like three tables. It was like her table and then two tables in front of her. And she had a big stick to push the stuff to you when you wanted to buy it. And then you would put the money down and she would pull the money to her because she was worried about getting sick. And if you're an older person, doesn't want to get sick, I get it. If you're over the age of 60, I would actually consider talking to a doctor about the vaccine, about wearing masks, because that's the big risk factor. But that's up to you. You don't got to listen. I'm 35. I'm a healthy 35-year-old. I exercise every single day. And, you know, my view on my health and my safety is my own. But here's the point I'm getting to. How long until in the blue states they say you can't live here? Like, if you don't get vaccinated, you're not allowed to live in the building. In New York City, don't get the vaccine, you can't go to venues. How long until the states are so fractured that we just get balkanization? I mean, let's be real. For right now. So if you're not familiar with the idea of balkanization, it refers to, you know, the balkanization, the region in Europe where they, you know, if the Balkan Wars, it breaks apart. I'm not a history buff on this stuff, but the general idea is that different groups segregate into different regions, break apart, and then do their own thing, and it leads to wars, things like that. We're already at a point where people are fleeing California. People are fleeing California to other places and turning it blue. It's hilarious. They're like, California sucks. I'm going to go to Colorado and vote for the same things. Same people. But a lot of people are conservative, and they're going to Texas, and they're going to Florida, and they're going to West Virginia. So red states get redder and blue states get bluer. And how long until each state has this ridiculously unique culture war identity? Where people in West Virginia are going to be like, I'm not going to New York. I'll tell you this right now. I will never put on an event in New York City. Not going to happen. Why? Because I think the vaccine mandates are wrong. So here we go. I would like to remind all of you that Virginia, which is deep blue, was the like principal Confederate state, where the capital of the Confederacy was. And West Virginia broke off and said, screw that. We're not down with it. Now, that's to be reasonable. Like New York and, you know, is full blue. And they were, of course, a northern state. They are a northern state. But I think it's really interesting to see what's going to happen with this, because you effectively have authoritarianism, the idea that the people should be subjugated and forced to undergo a medical treatment at the demand of the government without legislation. Medication without representation, we'll call it that. Forced medication without representation. I say no to this. So what happens when people leave New York, people flee to New York, and they all celebrate it? How long until trade stops? I won't send money to New York. I won't put on events there. And if you live in New York and you want to come to the event, you got to come down to West Virginia. And maybe we'll do something in Texas or Florida. How long until the divide is so intense that border checkpoints appear? We already saw some of that at the outbreak of at the start of the outbreak with COVID. You know, you saw checkpoints between like New York and Connecticut because wealthy New Yorkers were fleeing the lockdowns. Many of them didn't even come back. LA County is massive. I think it's like 13 million people. And it's the county, not a city. LA, the city, is small. You want to go to a bar, a nightclub, or a brewery? Better get vaccinated. So how many people there are now just going to leave? There's a viral video of this woman. She's like, I went to work. I guess it's like a college campus cafeteria. And her boss is like, Joe Biden made an announcement about getting vaccinated. And she says, I'm ready to leave. F Joe Biden. People are going to quit their jobs and they're going to move. And eventually in the blue states, they'll say, if you want to rent a place here, you got to be vaccinated. And people say, okay, I won't live there anymore. If these people in Florida are forced to move, where do they go? That's Florida. Florida is one of the states defying this. I think if they sue, they'll win. But the landlord might argue, like, it's private property. I don't got to sign a lease for you. And then what? These areas of Florida that do this will find people who are okay with it. It's really interesting. Florida, it may be open, but it is divided in a lot of ways. Now, I will say Miami-Dade, one of the districts there, turning red is shocking. An urban district going red. I think Florida's probably redder than you realize right now because what I mean by that is Republican. Because a lot of these people who fled communism and socialism know exactly what's happening, and they're telling their kids and they're saying resist. Texas, wow, of all places. Federal jurisdiction in any state has mask mandates and all this stuff. So this is going to be really, really interesting. If Ron DeSantis says you cannot mandate vaccines, let me ask you a question, Ron. In West Virginia, there is this mostly abandoned town. Some people still live there. I think it's called Thurmond. And there is an Amtrak station. Well, the Amtrak station is, it's actually a museum, and it's called a whistle stop. So we went there. We did a vlog on it. Whistle stop means that you can call in and request a pickup or a drop off, but they won't stop there unless requested. So it's active, but it's a tourist destination. Inside the station, it is federal jurisdiction where you're required to have a mask. If something like that exists in Florida, federal property that sells products and requires you to have proof of vaccination or a mask to get in, and Ron DeSantis has banned this, is Ron DeSantis going to go to the federal building and say, you are in our state and you cannot mandate this? The reason Washington, D.C. exists is so the federal government is not beholden to the laws of any state. That if D.C. existed within Maryland and Virginia, other states would say they are being unduly pressured by those states. Federal jurisdiction needs to be independent of the states. Smart. Well, what happens then if there's federal offices, which they're everywhere, in Florida that sell things? So the station I mentioned, they sell souvenirs. I went and I bought stuff. I got a walking stick. I got little toy trains. It was fun. And you had to wear a mask. Is Ron DeSantis going to say, you are operating a business in my state and my state does not allow this? I don't know. I don't know if you would do anything. I mean, we say that the federal government typically supersedes the states, but we also say we've got the 9th and 10th Amendment. The states rights cannot be stripped from them simply because the federal government decides to take an action. No, there has to be legislation. And if the federal government does not have a nationwide law mandating these things and simply a policy, then I believe state law would supersede that. How long until Abbott or Ron DeSantis or Kristi Noem tell the federal buildings in their states, you are not allowed to do this. And if you do, we will shut you down. And then do we get some kind of weird pseudo Fort Sumter? I don't know. All I can tell you is that it's getting worse and people are getting crazy and it's going to get crazier. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. over at youtube.com/Timcast. Thanks for hanging out and I'll see you all then.